Hello, my loves. Welcome or welcome back to Chemistry with Kismet Tarot. I'm Monica, the Kismet Chemist. If you guys are new to my channel, welcome. Welcome to the family. It is truly such an honor to have you guys here. If you're returning, welcome back, my loves. I have missed you. Today's reading, we are going to be getting messages about how it is that you're ascending in spirit. Whether this is elevating in your connection with the divine, within your own internal energy within spirit, or just in your spiritual awareness on your spiritual journey. However that plays out, however it ends up coming forth in the readings, it's going to be different for all of you. We are going to be looking at some energy of growth, energy of healing. And if you guys have noticed over the past few readings, my breathing is a little bit more labored. So that is actually because I'm still sick. This has been a kind of long-running infection. I saw my doctor today, and she equated it to about 5 years ago when I got sick with meningitis. And it took me a solid 6 months to 8 months to really work through that infection, to overcome that, to get through all of the different side effects from trial and error with medications, but also side effects within my body, because I have such a unique and fragile physical body with my Ehlers-Danlos and the way that my system reacts to different things. So I did want to let you guys know, I apologize if it gets really loud for my breathing, anything like that. I watched my last video and I was like, oh my God, it's so bad, which I don't think many of you guys really had issues with, but I'm a perfectionist by nature. You guys already know this about me. If you've been on my channel for a while, you know the imposter syndrome, the perfectionism, the ADHD, the neurodivergence, all of it. It's so fun. And I just got chills, which is spirit chills. And I love that because I feel like you guys just like literally as a collective just sent me like this big hug. So thank you guys. So we are actually going to be looking at some gifts of healing, some growth that you're doing from the soul, and in what way you guys are ascending in spirit. But first, I want to get your core energy. That core energy is being reflected in these cards here alongside the Elder Futhark runes. We have 4 piles as per usual, and I'm going to give you guys some meditation music. I'm trying to keep this intro a little bit short. So what I'm actually going to be doing is the first, 10 seconds or so of each pile, I'm going to give you guys a quick snippet of the reading breakdown, what each of the cards is intended for. This is because I want you guys to be more aware of what the placements are so that you can flow better with the reading, but also because I have a very raw, very red throat. The shingles have actually turned internal. And so I have some, they call them ulcerations on the back of my throat. And for any of you who tend to ask, if any of you guys want to send me healing energy, I'm not going to say no. I believe in, equal exchange. And I know that you guys always have such beautiful blessings and intentions when you send me love and healing, and I truly appreciate that. And I try to make sure that I do each and every one of you service by being here, by bringing these messages, by flowing Reiki energy whenever and wherever I just feel called to do so. So you guys don't have to ask. You don't even have to mention it. And it is not at all expected. But I did want to just let you guys know, every time you guys do that, like every single time I feel it, it's like sinking into a warm bubble bath. It's like, in all honesty, you guys, it feels like getting hugs from my grandma lately. Like every time I read a comment where you guys talk about your emotions, or you send me love, you send me light, you send me healing, every single one of those moments, I want you guys to know it really does impact. It really does make a difference. It really, You guys have helped me heal in so many ways. And hearing your stories, reading those stories, knowing that I impact you, knowing that I have helped you guys realize more about yourself, knowing that I have made an impact on your lives. For a very long time in my life, I felt as though I was always going to sit and feel like I was never going to achieve what I wished for myself and for my life. I was never going to reach the people I wanted to reach. I was never going to change lives simply by sharing my story or sharing my gifts or just being a part of someone's life. And you guys have changed that so many times over. You have become my friends, my family, my community, and we all gather here together and we live out of this state of unconditional love, of hope, of optimism. And every time I sit down here, I get a little bit nervous. I really always want to live up to any kind of expectations you guys might have. But I want to make a difference. I want to make an impact. I never hesitate to read your comments. Sometimes I don't know what to say, so I will just put a love and say you're welcome. If you say thank you, sometimes I will respond. But your words, your support, your love, I don't have the words to express the depth of gratitude that I have for you guys sharing all of your stories, for you sharing pieces of your journey, for you guys sharing your life with mine, and for you being open to hearing my stories and allowing me to tap into your energies, to work with your guides, to work with you in any and every way. I've watched book sales change. I have seen this channel grow. I have felt your gratitude. I felt your love. I've felt it all. And I am perpetually grateful. So even though I didn't want to do a really long intro, I guess I did a long intro because I am so profoundly moved by each and every one of you. So thank you so much. Now, let's go ahead and get some meditation music for you guys. We have the 4 piles. I'll go over what each of the cards and runes are. I'm kind of trying some different lighting today. I'm going to kind of edit and mess with things. I'm trying to get it so that there's less of a glare so you guys can see the cards a little bit better. So we have pile number 1, we have the card 14 with family tree, expansion, and legacy. And you have the blank rune, which is the unknowable, the All-Father, Odin. It is also the unknown. We have pile 2 with the card 39. It says relaxation, peaceful pursuits, happy times. And we have the rune Ansus. We have pile 3, card 26 with conscious steps. It says considered action, looking forward. And we have the Berkano or the Berkana rune. And pile 4, we have the card number 3, sensitivity and strength. It says tapping the forces within. And with that, we have the Perth rune. And I did want to mention when this rune came out, it was actually in reverse. If you know me, I don't tend to read reversals unless it's absolutely like very, very pertinent. I did actually break down and receive messages for this with the Perth rune in the reverse. So I did want to honor that and change that. But I wanted you guys to at least be able to see what the rune looks like originally in case you want to do any kind of research on your own. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that in the reverse now. So let's get you guys that meditation music. The timestamps will be in the description box below. And I will see you guys all at your piles. And again, I love you guys so much. Hello, pile one. If you chose the first card in rune, the card 14 family tree, as well as the blank rune, this is your message about how you are ascending in spirit, what gifts and growth is occurring in your life right now. So with the card with the family tree, we're going to start over here. 14 also reduces to a 5. That gives us Sagittarian energy along with Taurus energy. That is the Temperance card and the Hierophant. But with that, I was getting Jupiter and Venus energy. So you could have Jupiter conjuncting your Venus. But I also was getting some kind of particular placements. And I want to make sure that you guys know you don't have to have these placements for this to be your message. But if they do, this could be an area in your life that is being highlighted or impacted more profoundly or more directly right now. So I was getting Chiron in Sagittarius or Chiron in Taurus, Chiron in the 4th house, and you could have Chiron in Sagittarius in the 4th house, Chiron in Taurus in the 4th house, which would make you either a Virgo rising or an Aquarius rising. And very, very specifically, I got Jupiter in Taurus in the 4th house for some of you, which would mean that you are currently going through a Jupiter return. So the channeled message that I got based off of these cards is many cultures throughout the world provide their practitioners or their peoples with a construct mentally, emotionally, and or tangibly of what family actually means. Over the times, over the eras, over experiences within our own lives, we come to a point of redefinition of family and redefinition of what our roots mean. Pile one, a calling here from our divine creator itself is beckoning to you. Questions of your roots and diving deeper into them outside of the realm of tangibility. Into like direct, and I do mean directly into, because this was such a overwhelming, like it was like it's like being sighted. So like when you're hunting, you have to get your sights set. So there was this energy of having something being sighted for you. This direct energy into a spiritual knowing of the ancestors of ancients stepping forth within your energy and within your guide team. I heard guidance team with like this mixture of like a military or a medical feel to it. It's almost like there's a team around you that's stepping up for some sort of battle, some sort of mission. Now is the time that you are asked to open your heart. Open your heart to expanding within your family. And I heard tu familia and mi familia. And forgive me for my very butchered Spanish accent. It has been decades since I took Spanish class. But you're being asked right now to open your heart to expanding within your family. This expansion is based off of what you feel within. The physical world versus your inner world, and how the physical world kind of has an actual lack. The word lack came through, and that almost never happens. So the physical world lacks in terms of documentation for you. This may mean that you're adopted. It could mean that the information from your family line, your lineage, your heritage is incredibly difficult to find. And that happens. I know I am a person who is huge into genealogy, and I am really blessed that on my dad's side, it was mostly British. So British and Scottish and Irish. So the names were a lot easier to trace backwards. But with my mom's side, and especially on my grandmother's side, that family came from the old country, came from Germany, from some from Switzerland, Austria, Norway, Scandinavia. And those names get changed when they come to the States, and they get changed per location within the United States as well to fit in better with whatever area they're in. And so it was very, very difficult for me to trace ancestry back on that line. And sometimes when we can't trace our ancestry back, when we don't have a firm grasp of our genealogy, or if we are, and I have chills right now, spiritual chills, if we have a history of being adopted or not knowing one half of our family, we can really struggle logically, reasonably. We can struggle with that tangibility. So one of the pieces, the biggest piece of advice here, especially with this being combined with the blank rune, which is the rune of the unknowable. It is the rune of the Allfather or Odin. This is asking you to look into areas that you resonate with. And I'm going to have to pause right here. I have a phone call from my mom I need to take. Okay, I'm back. Thank you so much, Pile One. I know that it is literally just like a second for you guys, but my mom just had her first round of radiation treatment for breast cancer. So she wanted to update me. And yeah, that actually is such a beautiful coincidence for her to call during this, because we are talking about your family tree. So I was just about to get into this piece of advice that Spirit and your guides had for you. And now I'm covered in tingles again. But your guides, and especially the ones that were stepping forward, said the cultures that you resonate with outside of reason, outside of logic, the cultures that you resonate are part of your soul's heritage. Those parts of your soul's heritage are starting to awaken within you. They're starting to come alive within you, and they want you to embrace it. And when we are called to embrace these parts of ourselves, when we're called to embrace a connection to a heritage we don't necessarily know that we hold, because we don't have the science behind it, we don't have the genealogy or the mapping behind it, we can feel like we are stepping into a stranger's skin. But we all, each and every one of us, carry blood in our bodies, carry genetics in our bodies, genetics that have grown and changed and mutated, but that have come from such ancient sources. We all carry ancient energy within us. And we live in a world that is so stuck on science and logic and reason and proof, needing that proof. And the reason why we need that proof is because we're falling so far away from a sense of faith and a sense of brotherhood, a sense of legacy, a sense of family. Many, many eons ago, we were all on the same landmass. We were all from the same place. And we forget that over time because so much happens. There's so much division and separation. So we come into the world and we grow, and then we come into a spiritual life and we start being pulled or called to areas of the unknown. Pile one, that's exactly where you're at right now, an area of the unknown, the unknowable. And it's unknowable in the sense of knowledge, of concrete scientific knowledge, but it does not mean that you do not feel it with your whole being. And when you feel it with your whole being and you feel so deeply called to it, when you allow yourself entrance into that awareness, it's like finding a piece of yourself that has long been in the desert, lost and lonely, that has been deeply buried and entangled within the roots, that we get caught up in the leaves that we can see rather than the root system that we can't. It's okay to have hesitancy. And especially when we think about people talking about cultural appropriation, when we look at the way that the world is so divided over basic things like family, religion, race, gender, ethnicity, sexual orientation, all of that, all of those little boxes that we check to say that we identify with this or that, yet something tells us, I feel connected to this area. Why do I feel connected? I want to share something with you that my guides and your guides are bringing forth for me. I grew up in the northern Midwest for most of my life. I mean, I was East Coast for the beginning of my life. I'm born in Colorado, but grew up in New Hampshire. But for the most part, northern Midwest, North Dakota, very small, very, very rural kind of living. And when I came into my spirituality, when I opened myself up, I was so profoundly, intensely called to shamanism and to hoodoo and voodoo, and not voodoo, but Vaudon and the Orishas, and especially Mama Oshun and Mama Oya. I was called to the Egyptian pantheon, the Greek pantheon, and I, in this life, even my blood genetics have me very Scandinavian, a little bit of Eastern European, but not a lot. So I felt like if I were to look into those things, if I were to dive into those things, I would be doing those belief systems a disservice because my skin color is incorrect, or because my religious upbringing is incorrect, or I have no idea why I'm called to it. But the longer that I held back from learning about them, from connecting with them, the greater the feeling of missing something or lacking something within my own energy, within my heart, within my soul became. When I was asked to trust, I sat down with one of my friends, Jazz, and she's African and she grew up in Louisiana. She's from Louisiana. And so she knew about these belief systems. And I told her, I said, I've always been called to it, but I always felt like I couldn't engage with it. And she looked at me and she goes, that's crazy. Why? And I said, well, because I'm white. And I was like, I don't want to sound racist. And she said, no, you sound scared. And I said, that's what I am. Because I don't want to dishonor anyone. She said, but you do yourself a dishonor. You dishonor yourself if you don't embrace it. She said, I wouldn't trust anybody else with this stuff because I know you. I don't have any hesitancy. And it was one of those just profound moments in my life where I was like, okay, there we go. We're called to certain things for reasons that we can't always rationalize. Pile one, it's okay if you can't rationalize being called to something that does not make sense for you based off of whatever box this world would put you in. Because none of us are meant to live our lives in a box. We are meant to expand. Spirit asks us to do that. And that takes a leap of faith. It takes courage. It takes a willingness to jump into the unknown and expand in that area. So let's find out how you are ascending in spirit. The Five of Wands. Oh my gosh, you guys. We have the Temperance card here, and we had 14 with Temperance before. I love that. And the Four of Pentacles. Okay. This is about expanding and rising up into a greater level of alchemy, of healing, a greater level of awareness that this life isn't about us competing with each other. It's not about us battling one over the other. My religion, my race, my gender, my ethnicity is no better or worse than anyone else's. And when we can move beyond that, then we can actually understand that the structures, the foundations that make us secure and whole and safe within ourselves, that foundational energy within ourselves is based and built in unconditional love. So we're asked to blend together seemingly opposing forces. We've got an angel that's holding the two luminaries, the sun and the moon. And we think of the moon as a luminary because it gives us light, but it only gives us light because the sun exists. Which means that sometimes there's a part of us that only can be because we are. And there are so many people in the world that want to push each other away or push one idea, one notion, one belief system above and beyond all the other ones. And you're, I was going to say you're a soul, but you're an energy in this world because we're all simply energy. But you are created in an energy and you are a soul within this world that understands there's no such thing as difference. We see it because we live in a realm of duality, but one of my favorite arguments is if you cut my arm and you cut your arm, we will both bleed the same color blood, unless there is like a really random incidence, because I think that you can bleed different colored blood with some medical thing. I don't know why I needed to say that, but my point here is the same inner makeup that I contain is what you contain. We all carry ancient energies, ancient DNA. We all carry ancient, essentially stardust within ourselves. That's what our foundation has been created on. And that is how you are ascending in spirit, is coming into this awareness that every moment that we feel as though we have to compete or fight for a standing, fight for a placement, fight to be heard, to be seen, or we need to fight off some inner awareness within us that we contain more than just what we can see, what we can rationalize, and what our logic tells us, what science tells us. Every time we do that, we gain more grace, we gain more understanding, and because of that, we gain more empathy. We move more with love, and we embrace all things that are so unknowable that we stop holding on to the wounds of not knowing, because the not knowing makes the discovery such a grand adventure. So let's take a look at some gifts of healing for you. Yes, we have let it go. Release the past, forgive, soften, and move forward. And then we have bounteous, generously given relationships and coming together. I apologize if you guys can hear the dinging. My phone is going off. My husband's texting me. But I love the fact that my mom and my husband are, kind of making themselves known during this reading, because we are talking right here about coming together, relationships, giving generously, letting things go, softening, coming together, loving each other. Sometimes the things that hold us back from true connection are the pains that we have endured in the past. When we choose to let something go, it doesn't mean that that thing didn't happen. It doesn't mean that thing didn't have a place in our life. It doesn't mean that that thing didn't hurt us. It means that we see that we're all doing the best that we can. It means that the past occurred for our greatest growth, for our progress. It occurred for us to be able to move and to ascend in spirit. It occurred so that we could understand that when we are holding on to things that are hardening us, that are making it so that we feel like we are in a competition or we are battling our way to some idea of the top of some sort of hierarchy that doesn't really exist, when we're essentially deceiving ourselves into believing that this world is meant to be hard and we're hardening ourselves, we aren't able to fully give of ourselves. And so our relationships, our connections, our family can't expand, it can't grow. When we let these things go, when we accept that there is both light and dark, when we accept that we are all built in love, that's when we start expanding and connecting more and more and more. That's when love comes in for ourselves and for others. That's what it means to let it go. It doesn't mean to forget, but it means to understand that it's time to move forward. So it's time for me to understand myself more. And if understanding myself more means expanding in my heart, then I am ready to accept that. And that is a healing that is ready to come in. That's why there was that kind of sighting in with this guidance team that felt very military, very medical. It felt very much like we are going on this rescue mission of a part of yourself that needs to be brought back into the fold, brought back into the whole. It's like Saving Private Ryan for some reason just came into my mind. It's like you need to go in and find that one piece that is so crucial, but it's a piece that exists within yourself because this coming together is meant for your greatest good. It is, even if it doesn't always feel like it, it is meant for your greatest good. Sometimes we have the hardest relationships, but they are for the best. And we can struggle to understand that. I know that myself. I know that personally. We can struggle to understand why a relationship that hurt and tried me and had me harden and held me back was meant to come into my life. But if it were not for some of the relationships that I had in the past, I wouldn't be who I am. And I would not have the connections that I do. And that is what makes them all blessings, no matter how hard they have been. Let's take a look at how you are growing from the soul. last quarter moon in Aquarius. Oh my God, we had Aquarius rising. Reflect on your priorities. Some of you might actually have a last quarter moon as your natal moon phase. And then we have a full moon in Virgo. Did we not have a Virgo rising and an Aquarius rising? And it says take inspired action. Let me check. We did. I'm pretty sure we did. I have it written down here. Yeah, Virgo rising or Aquarius rising. I friggin' love this. Thank you so much, Spirit. Thank you. Okay, so what are your priorities right now? When we are working with a last quarter moon and a full moon, this is about illuminating within ourselves. What is it that we think is important? What do we find importance? Where do we place these important things in our life? What is the priority on that? Now, if your healing is your priority right now, how can you take inspired action towards your own healing? What is it that you can see that needs to be released? What is it that you can see that needs to be forgiven? How can you do that? And it isn't always cut and dry, but there are energies around you that are ready to help you with that are ready to help you with that expansion and with that growth. So right now, the greatest growth from your soul is in helping you to find what is important, what matters. That's what our priorities really are. What really matters to the heart and the soul? What matters to our sense of healing, our sense of grounding, our sense of safety, what is our root asking us to focus on? How do we love that part of ourselves? What are your priorities? It's not asking you to make a list of them. It's not asking you to, look at things and be like, well, I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that and I'm not doing this and I'm focusing on this when I should be focusing on that, because this is not about you beating yourself up for what you think that you are not doing right. This is about you saying, this really matters to me. This really matters to my soul. This really matters to my heart. This matters to my growth. It's just like for me, I could have continually been like, I'm not meant to look into orishas. I'm not meant to look into hoodoo. I am not meant to look into root work. I'm not meant to understand, to educate myself in those areas because I grew up Christian, because I have this Scandinavian heritage that I know of, because of this or because of that. And I could have continually put that on the back burner. But when I sat down and I reflected on the things that matter to me, my priorities are in understanding and growing in love, in spirituality, in connections, helping my family, helping my loved ones, helping my communities. And in doing that, then my priorities are really on me understanding in as many ways as I possibly can. So taking inspired action for me meant reading, educating, doing research. It didn't mean that I had to pick up a practice and make it my whole life. It meant that I just needed to reflect on that. So this is about you reflecting on something within yourself or multiple things. What matters to you? What matters to your soul right now? Ask your soul to speak to you. Ask your soul to speak to you. And be open to whatever comes through. If your soul says, I want Skittles, go get Skittles. Why? Because you never know. The taste of them might trigger something from your childhood that brings up a memory that you didn't realize that you're holding on to, that is ready for you to release and to move forward from. And when you do that, then you're helping yourself realize, okay, my priorities are on healing and trusting myself. But I've been resisting this because sugar is bad for me, because I don't want to gain weight, or because it doesn't make any logical, reasonable sense. But if you go and you do that, you're taking that inspired action. You're running with it. And that is why the moon illuminated in a full moon really is helping us to realize the parts of ourselves that we've forgotten, because the moon is a part of the earth that has been separated. So when it gets lit up by the sun, the earth remembers, hey, that was a part of me. And just because I can now see it in the sky and it doesn't exist within me, it doesn't mean that I'm not still connected to it. So just because you don't have some idea of something within your roots, something within your lineage, just because you don't have something foundational in science or reason or logic does not mean that it doesn't exist within your heart and your soul. It doesn't mean that your soul doesn't remember. And it's okay for you to grab a hold of that and to pull that thread and find that wisdom within yourself, to combine these things into the wholeness of you so that you can really expand out and learn how to come together with people who are similar to you. That's why we say people of a like mind. So pile one, this has been more profoundly moving for me than I really expected. I am honored. I am blessed. I am grateful. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking even just the tiniest leap of faith into this reading. But thank you for continuing to move forward on your journey as well. I want to say thank you to your guides, my guides, the Great Spirit, for facilitating the connection, allowing these messages to flow through, and allowing the love that I feel so tangibly within this pile. Thank you so much. Pile one, if this resonated and you guys would like to support my channel, I would truly appreciate that. It is not required, not expected. If you feel called to, by all means, you can like this video, you can subscribe to my channel, you can comment in the comment section below. You can also go to my description box, and within the description box, there are some links towards the top, links to either donate to my channel on PayPal or Venmo. There's also a link to my Amazon author page. On that author page, you will find access to my 9 books that I have out currently. They are available in a variety of different formats, depending on the book, from hardcover to paperback, Kindle, Kindle Unlimited. All of those are accessible from that link in the description box. Each and all of these different things are ways that you can support me, support my channel, support my creativity, support this community. None of them are expected, but I am going to leave you here, pile one. I love you guys all. Thank you again so much for being here. It's been a true blessing and honor. I will see you guys all at my next reading. I love you. Bye. Hello, pile two. If you chose the second card, the card number 39, Relaxation with Peaceful Pursuits, Happy Times, as well as the rune Ansus, this is your message about how you are ascending in spirit. So with the 39 reduces down to a 12, which further reduces down to a 3. So that would be Hanged Man and Empress energy, which is Neptune and Venus, but I got a lot of Piscean energy here. But I also got the energy of Janus, the god Janus, which is the god of 2 faces. And Janus is the god who sees both the past and the future in order to be able to make informed decisions in the present moment. Janus energy is incredibly strong, incredibly prominent here within this pile. And I got Gift of Premonitions. And then I looked up the Ansus and did some more research. And the Ansus rune is about a messenger from the gods. And one of the messages that I got was about the lessons from the past being embraced in new ways in the present allows for a beautiful future to be projected into absolutions. I'm not entirely sure. I want to say oh, sorry guys. Interesting. Sorry, that was my alarm on my phone, which was a silver alert alarm. Interesting that would come through. I always think of these things as being messages, there being a bigger reason. So when I was talking about absolutions, I was talking about there being absolutes. It is a definitive. It is going to happen. And we can struggle with that. But the Ansus rune is about messengers, messages. So strange. And that literally, like, I jumped out of my skin on that one. But here is your channeled message that I got. It said, when life progresses rapidly, every day feeling far more akin to a minute rather than hours, we can fall to feeling as though life is living outside of us. Right now, Mayberry is calling to you, Pile 2. And I was hearing the song Mayberry by Rascal Flatts and hearing I Miss Mayberry sitting on the front porch drinking ice cold cherry Coke where everything was black and white. You know, it talks about that slower way of living from like the Andy Griffith show and our childhood and how every day in our childhood was a new adventure. It stretched into forever. But when we went to bed, it was like the day was gone so quickly. So, Pile 2, there is a time to slow down, to realign, and to rejoin with your life that is being offered to you right now. This is your reminder that slowing down brings you back to your center. It brings you back to yourself and the ultimate truth that life is an external expression that comes from within. I get the sense that this pile, I resonated. I resonated with your energy so much because I was like, oh, because I got the sense that this pile you may have recently fallen ill or may recently have had an injury that has slowed you down, like an ankle injury, particularly. And this seems very specific, but I was getting pain kind of in my Achilles on the left side, on my left ankle. But then I got like infections or the flu or that COVID that has been running through the world. I got that. And this message that some illnesses are there to slow us down in life. And I was literally talking to my mom about that. She was asking me, like, what about doing Reiki or using bioresonance frequencies to help you with your shingles? Because my shingles have taken a turn and gone internal. And so it's prolonged the illness. And I said, I'm doing everything that I know to do spiritually and with my alternative medicines. I am also combining it with Western medicine. And I said, honestly, it's like this is just slowing me down so that I don't get too far ahead of myself, so that I am still able to embrace my daily life without having things be completely off kilter. And that's okay with me. And I'm able to see my illness in a different light because of that. And then I got this beautiful message about taking time to grind the coffee beans in the morning before you brew them, to cook a meal instead of ordering in, to sit down and sit with the sun as it rises into the sky and witness the world awakening around the sun's rising. It's this energy of giving yourself even just a half hour, 20 minutes even, just a small amount of time for you to just sit and be still and watch something, to witness something, to see how connected everything really is. Soon, given this slow down energy, I got this message that you'll start to see how this is helping you to open new psychic communicative pathways within yourself and between yourself and the divine. So when we are going through a psychic rising, a psychic understanding or awareness or awakening, oftentimes we're called to slow down. We're called to take a breather because the psychic realm, the messages, premonitions, visions, those things, those aren't rapid. Those come in soft, subtle ways. And when we are thrown in the midst of the chaos of life, if we're doing that grind of, entrepreneurship, or we're doing the 9 to 5 and we have families, or you are in college and then you have a job and then you have your social calendar, and there's so much all the time. There's always something to do. There's always a new bill that pops up. There's always this, there's always that. We can get really caught up in the always this and always that and miss the fact that the divine has been sending us messages. And it doesn't always come in the form of repetitive numbers. Sometimes it comes in forms that we can't expect. So one of the things that the divine is showing me is I had this real fun incidents yesterday morning. I had dropped my husband off at work and I was coming back to my house to pick up my kids to bring them to school. And I passed by just like a little pole on the side of the road that just notated, it was just a signifier pole for the edge of a driveway. You know, people do that so that in the darkness, there's a reflective light that shows you, okay, this is a driveway, it's not the curb, things like that. But when I saw the reflective orange on the pole, my automatic thought was, there is a buck in the road. There's a deer, there's a buck in the road. And I was like, there's no deer in the road. And it isn't uncommon in my city to come across deer or turkeys or pheasants in city limits. One of the first times I ever had like a video go viral was on Facebook videos. And I took a video and put it up on Facebook as I was driving because I came to a complete standstill on one of our main roads in town as I was going to work. And I had to take the video to prove why I was late. And I was late because there were like 40 deer crossing the road from the cemetery across so that they could go down the hill and into the trees that were there. And I wanted to make sure that my bosses knew, hey, I'm late because there were deer. And it wasn't an excuse or anything like that. You know, they thought it was really funny. They're like, oh my gosh, so many deer in the morning. It's crazy. Because there were literally 30 or 40 of them. And I sat there for almost 5 minutes as they all crossed the street. And that was the video that went viral. It's so random. But I kept driving yesterday morning. I kept driving and when I come home, I go on a top road because we live on the bottom of a hill, go on the top road, and then I turn down so that I can park in front of the house without double parking. And as I came down the hill, I felt this pull to my left side, to my driver's side window. So I looked out the window and somebody had thrown out 2 bags of trash. And I was like, oh my gosh, people, like, it's not too difficult to, throw those in the garbage. There's literally like a garbage can right next to it. And I thought that was what Spirit was calling me to, of like, time to do some cleanup in the area. No, turns out I look over and there was a buck, 5-point buck, standing on the road. And it was standing there and you could tell it was very watchful. It was very protective. And I looked around and there was a doe walking up the hill in the person's yard. And I went, that is so cool. So they were just letting me know, hey, this is coming up. And it was because in the mornings I like to keep it kind of quiet. That morning especially, I didn't have the radio on, which is almost unheard of for me because I love to sing. But I just felt very, very watchful. And it was very subtle. Seeing that deer, it was very subtle because it was in shadow. Bucks don't like to be out in the light. But as I stopped the truck and I just looked at it and it walked forward into the light and it looked at me. And I went, wow, you almost never see that here in town because they're very protective of themselves. but it was there and protecting the doe. And it was that very subtle energy, that very unexpected connection between an orange, marker pole at a driveway that was like, oh, there's a deer, but there wasn't, that led me there. The psychic realm is incredibly subtle. The messages that we receive, and especially premonitory messages that we receive, if we are not allowing ourselves to be connected and to be open and aware, we won't catch them. And it doesn't mean that we're lacking or missing anything or doing anything wrong. It means that we need to give ourselves the grace to slow down. In a world that goes at 100 miles a minute, we can give ourselves 5 minutes of going significantly slower. That's what your guides are calling for you to do here. That's what your guides are asking. So let's find out how you're ascending in spirit. So we have the Three of Cups. We have the Big Dipper here. Did some of you guys see the Big Dipper recently? Were you guys the kids who would look at the Big Dipper and do that thing with your fingers where you're like, if I walk 2 or 3 fingers or 4 fingers up, sometimes it's 5, depending on what size hand you have, to find the Little Dipper? I could never find the Little Dipper, like throughout my entire childhood. I was always so frustrated. I had to have somebody show me. Then we have the Two of Swords. And the Devil. Okay. All right. So with the Devil card actually corresponds to Capricorn energy, but what I got here was actually Saturn. And I did get that Piscean energy right away. And Saturn in Pisces is, wow. Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys, I get that. So Saturn in Pisces, Saturn has just recently turned direct in Pisces. But Saturn in Pisces is actually asking us to think about the ways in which we have gone through different transformations and different changes throughout the time that Pluto has been in Capricorn. Why? Because Neptune, who is also linked intricately and intimately with Janus, the god Janus, Janus, if some of you want to look that up, energy. Because sometimes if we spend too much time looking to the past, too much time projecting forward, we forget that we exist right now. So then we feel blinded to the right now. How do you make any decisions if you're blinded to the right now? We can get involved in communities and friendships and connections. We can find ourselves in these harmonies with people, and then we find ourselves falling into, what are they doing? What do they want? Right now, the Three of Cups, for the first time ever, this is a rarity, pile 2. So you guys are a rarity. I definitely am feeling that. The Three of Cups is talking about allowing for a harmonization of Pluto, Saturn, and Neptunian energy within you, allowing for yourself to realize that if you slow down, the effect of you slowing down is a greater level of awareness. And as you do that, you actually begin to free yourself from the things, the mentalities, the fears, the worries, the concerns that can limit you. Again, I'm being brought back to this mentality that if the world is going a million miles a minute, I have to go a million miles a minute in order to catch up. And now I'm being brought back to another memory of my childhood. Much of this might be tied to something that happened when you were a kid that is trying to come back to the surface. So there was this time frame when I was a kid, and I actually looked it up, and it was during a time that Jupiter's pattern got really weird, and there was something with like Jupiter's gravitational field pulling an asteroid or a comet back into it, so that because it was on a projection to hit Earth and Jupiter pulled it back. Can't remember definitively. It's in one of my journals. But I remember laying down on my couch, and I was, less than 10 years old. And it was the middle of the day in the summer, and I just kept breathing really heavy. I literally put myself into like somatic breath work. And I just had this feeling. I said, if I don't speed up, I'm going to miss it. I'm going to be left behind. And I didn't understand what was happening, but I knew that I needed to do it. And all of a sudden I had astral projected out of my body. And I remember that event. I remember looking down on myself thinking like, man, I look like just like a little doll on the couch here. But I never told anybody about it. And so I, over many, many years, shoved it down, ignored it, pretended like it didn't happen. And then I started astral projecting as an adult. And I was like, where did this come from? And that memory came up. Sometimes there are bits and pieces of our life that we're meant to come back into harmony with, come back into balance with, but we have to allow ourselves to slow down because we need to remember that we felt happy in these moments, that we felt okay in these moments. And we can miss the messages. We miss the awarenesses that want to awaken within us. And because of that, we get caught up. But these energies, these cosmic energies, are trying to bring in this message that you're not going to be blocked. You're not going to be blinded. You're not going to be torn apart. You're not going to have something or someone dictating your mindset moving forward. What you're rising into is a greater level of awareness of how you and the cosmic energies really flow together, really move together, really understand each other and work together. And as you do that, you find this greater balance between your physical world and the spiritual world with your day-to-day life and your leisurely pursuits. And you find this beautiful balance. And when you allow yourself that balance, that's when you start realizing the different things that have really tangled your mind up and how we can attach them outside of ourselves, but really there's something that we hold within. And so with that, I want to take a look at the healing that you're being brought to here. So let it rain, allowing what is, inevitability and trust. Okay. And then follow the stream, dedication, trust, 2 times trust. Future, rivers, and oceans. Again, with that future projection, when we are looking for a stream of consciousness, when we're looking for a place for us to move towards, we can get caught up in what we project as what we want to see or experience, or what we know is meant to be in our lives and what our life has been. And we miss that crucial piece of information. The crucial piece of information is we're missing what our life is. When we step into a state of allowing what is, when we say, okay, there's an inevitability here, and now I'm being brought back to that, like getting that slow down energy, that getting sick, allowing it to be what it is. That's you saying, okay, I trust that there's a greater reason, a greater purpose, a greater everything, a greater connectivity to all of this. I understand all of that. And so I'm going to step into a state of trust. Using myself as an example here, I totally feel like Katniss and like volunteering as tribute here. But allowing myself to be an example here. When I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia 14 years ago, it was on my 22nd birthday. When I got that diagnosis, every part of me, mind, body, soul, spirit, everything, especially my mind, went, no, absolutely not. This is not right. This is not it. They are not getting this. This is not the right diagnosis. This is not what I'm dealing with. Yes, some of it is similar, but this piece doesn't fit and this piece doesn't fit. And you cannot, my whole life, no one could tell me that the outlier pieces of what I experienced, of the different injuries that I would have, and that these, we call them my stupid injuries because they just came about in just such dumb ways. Like breaking a wrist doing the dishes. It wasn't like a true break. It was like a hairline fracture and a really, really severe sprain, or, stepping off a stair. I wasn't running. I didn't trip. I didn't fall, whatever. I stepped off a stair and I shredded multiple ligaments and tendons in my ankle. I was walking on a sidewalk and it was uneven and I tore my meniscus. And those things just, to me, it just doesn't make sense. Like, how can I be walking and hurt myself? I wasn't playing sports. I wasn't running. I didn't trip. I had good shoes on. I was walking. Like, everything inside of me said there has to be something that connects all of this together. And so when that diagnosis came in, I said, absolutely not. But when I got my Ehlers-Danlos diagnosis, there was this calmness within me, this inevitability that I felt of, this is it. Okay. And I stepped into this state of trust. And when you step into a state of trust, and this healing that's available for you is this state of trust. It's saying, okay, this is what's going on right now. This was always going to happen. Why? Because it's time for the rains to fall. It's time for this to be cleansed out. It's time for me to be washed clean so that I can dedicate myself to finding that stream of consciousness that I'm meant for. Because that stream of consciousness is one that is going to lead you to a future ocean of possibility, of potentiality, of all your dreams, of all your wishes. And I know, pile two, how naive I sound saying that in this day and age. But I also know that I am sitting here and I will 100% believe it for myself, because I am sitting here in an ocean of possibilities as I channel this, because it's this life that I live. I had always dreamed about it, but I always felt like it was never possible until I stepped into trust. When you're being asked to slow down, one of the hardest things that we can do is trust, because we don't see where it's going to lead us. We don't understand yet. We haven't gained the messages and the wisdom and the awareness. We have to step into a state of trust. We have to say, okay, this is what it was always meant to be. This is where I was always meant to go. So I'm going to dedicate myself to myself here. Now show me. Now lead me. So let's see where your growth from your soul is coming from. We have last quarter moon in Taurus with be proud of yourself. Wow, Taurian energy. New moon in Taurus, know your worth. And Taurus rules the second house. And I did pick up a lot of Venusian energy as well. So you could have Taurus in your 12th house. You don't have to have that placement, but I am picking a little bit of that up here. This is where you're growing. You're growing in this essence of, I'm learning how to love all of me. I'm learning to see that if this person is worthy of having what they desire, then so am I. If this life is meant to be this way, then I'm meant to live it in the way that makes me the happiest. You're stepping into a state of trust so that you can see how far you've come, how much you have overcome, how much you've cleansed out, how much you have moved through, grown through, advanced beyond, and how worthy you are of the slowdown. And it shouldn't always take an illness. And I don't want you guys to feel as though that is a judgmental saying, because I'm telling you guys, if you have been following my channel for a little bit or at all, you know that my medical health, my physical health slows me down all the time. All the time I get slowed down, but I keep going. And so when you have that slow down moment, be proud of yourself for saying, you know what? I'm worthy of slowing down. I'm worthy of this rest. I'm worthy of receiving these messages. I'm worthy of projecting my future path for my greatest good. I'm worthy of these things. I am worthy of happiness. I am worthy of luck. I am worthy of abundance. I am worthy of cleansing, of trusting in myself, trusting in this path. I'm worthy of sovereignty in my life. And as you grow more and more into your sense of worth, that's when you learn how to start up again, how to move forward into that new stream of consciousness, into that new way of being. No longer being tricked by the ideations of the mental realm in the outer world by societal standards or gender standards or race or ethnicity or anything like that. But no, your spiritual awareness is your standard. That is the gold standard. And you are worthy of that. And when you know your worth, you move from that state. Pile 2, you're worthy of getting adequate rest. You're worthy of being adequately hydrated and fed. You're worthy of having the life that you desire. You're worthy of healing. You're worthy of these things. As your soul grows, you'll begin to open up to your worthiness, and you'll see that any and every moment of slowdown has been nothing more or less than an attempt by the divine to say, trust me. Put your trust in me, because when you put your trust in the divine, you put your trust in yourself, because you and the divine are one in the same. And you see yourself as worthy as the divine is. All right, pile 2, this is the message I have for you. I'm sending you guys a huge energetic hug. I also want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you to your guides and my guides and the Great Spirit for connecting these energies, for bringing forth this awareness, this love, this peace, these blessings and these gifts and this expansion and ascension to pile 2. Thank you so much. All right, pile 2, if this resonated and you would like to support my channel, that is something I would truly appreciate. I never require it. I never expect it, but it is always very, very much appreciated. And I do always feel it and really I have so many moments where I screenshot comments, send them to my husband with crying emojis because I'm literally in tears. But some of the ways that you guys can support my channel are by commenting on these videos, liking the videos, subscribing to my channel, sharing the videos. Other ways are through the description box and the links that are there. There are links to donate via PayPal and Venmo. There's also a link to my Amazon author page. I am a published author. Yay! I have 9 books on Amazon currently. They are available in a variety of different formats, from paperback, hardcover, Kindle, Kindle Unlimited. Any and all of those that you guys feel drawn to, those are available on that link. So feel free to go check that out. And again, it's not required. I just am very, very honored to have you guys here. So pile 2, without further ado, here's where I leave you. I love you all. Thank you again for being here, and I will see you at my next reading. Bye. Hello, pile 3. If you chose the 3rd card, the card number 26 with conscious steps, it says considered action and looking forward with the Berkano or the Berkana rune. This is your message all about how you are ascending in spirit, your gifts and growth right now. Move my little key card off to the side. So I did channel an initial message for you guys with card number 26. It does reduce to an 8, which is the strength card and correlates to Leo energy. But with that, I got the sun, and when I was sitting down and channeling your guys' message, the energy was so different than what I would have expected. I'm sorry if you guys can hear the noise. I know I can hear a helicopter overhead right now. And again, if you skip the intro, totally understand. If my breathing is really heavy, I'm really sorry. I still have upper respiratory and everything since my shingles went internal. It's been kind of wreaking havoc with my body systems. So please bear with me here, guys. So with the strength and the Leo energy, Leo is ruled by the sun. But what I got from that was the sun in Scorpio, or Leo in the 8th house, which is equivalent to a Capricorn rising. And you don't have to have these placements for this to be your pile or your energy, but this is the energy that came through. As soon as I got Leo in the 8th house, I got Capricorn rising. From that, I got and ego death as a means of occult wisdom. And I was like, what? Spirit, what? And then I got choosing consciousness, choosing awakening. And I got to tell you guys, I genuinely do not know if I have ever accessed this kind of energy before. So your channeled message said, pile 3, where most times the energy of this placement tends to be very much in the esoteric realm. Today, it's far more pragmatic in nature. I'm hearing cleaning out the closet and a bit less of an Eminem reference and more of a literal energy. Have you recently begun to do a physical purge or clean or cleanse of your physical surroundings? I really genuinely wondered that. That wasn't your channeled message, but that was something that I wondered. But I've never before picked up energy or a message like this. It's the energy of a collective of people who made a conscious choice to become spiritually aware, awakened by conscious choice as or is your destined path. Thus, duality is fully embodied energetically. And I was just like, I literally, quite literally wrote the word wow at the end of that because I was just so blown away. And it doesn't, to me, there wasn't an energy of like bravado to that. I was on Instagram today, and I very rarely go on these apps, but today I was on there, and one of the memes that was shared by one of the authors that I follow, or just like, I actually think it was a suggested post from another page that I don't follow. It had a picture of Eminem, the artist Eminem, and then a picture next to it of his daughter, Haley, and she was getting coronated as homecoming queen. And they talked about how Eminem watched Haley's coronation from an empty classroom because he did not want to take from her moment. He didn't want to be out there like celebrating her because he didn't want people to recognize him and then for it to just be about, oh my God, Eminem's here. So he honored his daughter by still being there and celebrating with her, but by stepping into the background. And that is the kind of energy I get from you guys. This energy of, I'm doing all of this stuff because I know that I need to have this new way of living. But I am not doing it because I want people to admire me. And I'm not doing it for the bravado or for the recognition of it. I'm doing it because this is what I'm called to do. When I think about my own spiritual awakening, my first like major Kundalini awakening, it just felt like it was something that happened to me. And I know we say in the spiritual community, things happen for you, not to you. And yeah, that's the case. But it happened for me, and it wasn't something that I consciously chose. And the second time that I really started opening myself up to my spirituality, to my spiritual gifts, to my psychic gifts, to all of this, and started the journey that I am on now, that led me to this channel, it wasn't because I was like, okay, I want spiritual awareness. I want a higher level of consciousness. No, it was literally, there was a pandemic. I have an immune deficiency. I had every sign and symptom imaginable of a very rapidly growing aggressive brain tumor. And I had doctors and nurses calling me and telling me to go to the ER to get an emergent MRI done. And I said, but I have no immune system. You want me to go out in the worst portion of the pandemic in October of 2020 to the ER, where we've been hearing plenty of horror stories of what is going on there, to expose myself so I can have an emergent MRI because you guys can't go through red tape and get me in faster to see somebody in office where it's more protected. And my brain just couldn't comprehend it. But at the same time, I was like, I'm damned if I do and damned if I don't in that situation. What do I do? And my husband was like, I don't know. And I remember one night I was standing in my kitchen and I was crying and I said, this is not the way I go out. Like, I had just really gained an awareness of the ways in which I was giving my ex-husband power, the magnitude of how the trauma and the abuse that I suffered at his hands had shaped my perspective of myself, and how far it spread and how detrimental it had been and how I was not going to do that. And I was like, I can't have just come into this awareness and started really diving into what is right for me and what I want for my life and overcoming this. I can't be at that place and have this be how I go out of the world. I was like, no way. And I dove into research and found out about them using sound wave therapy caps for brain tumor patients. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to use bioresonance. I am going to use Rife frequencies. I am going to use solfeggio frequencies. I'm going to heal myself of this. And I did. I mean, I healed myself of that and so much more. Like, I had 3 good years of widespread healing, 2.5 good years of widespread healing from so many ailments. But none of that, even now looking back, like, yes, I made the conscious choice to be like, yeah, I'm going to do this and it's going to work. And it did. And sure, one can make the argument that that was me, setting the intention and manifesting it. But none of it felt like it was something within my conscious awareness where I said, I'm going to expand into my spiritual gifts. I'm going to expand into all of this. It felt like it was just a situation in life that was happening that I needed to respond to. Pile 3, your energy is so different from that. And that's why coming into this energy, both preparing for this reading, sitting with the energy of this pile, sitting with a channeled message, and just all I could say was, wow, because you, pile 3, feel like you made this conscious choice of like, hey, there's that spirituality thing going on over there. I think I'm going to open myself up to it. Let me take a walk through that. And it was a very conscious action taken. And I hate saying this, but if this doesn't resonate, I'm getting 2 messages. Number 1, perhaps this is not your pile. And I don't like saying that, you guys. I genuinely, I don't like giving that caveat to any reading that I do. Sometimes I know that it is necessary, and sometimes it's kind of like I don't want to. But the reason why I don't like saying that with this pile is because of the second message. Because I felt this kind of spiritual, pile 3, look again, think again. How far have you grown? How much have you come into in awareness? How much have you moved into yourself? Look again. Was it not your choice? And I think that's why the story of the brain tumor and all of that is so prevalent with your pile for me, because the way that I can explain how I felt cornered. I felt backed into a corner. That is what that damned if you do and damned if you don't energy feels like. You're backed into a corner and you have to come up with some out of the box, out of the norm, out of, rational ideations. You have to come up with something outside of all of that. You have to literally pull at invisible threads in an invisible realm and just suddenly, here's what I'm going to do, because you're backed into a corner. And not everybody can do that. And that's not me tooting my own horn. That's me saying not everybody can sit there and be backed into that corner. We get backed into a corner and then get launched into a spiritual awakening or ascension, because it's that time and our souls have contracted for that, and other people in that position might cave, they might crumble. Not because they're weaker and others are stronger, but because it's not right for them on their soul's journey. So those situations don't occur in that way. For you, it was literally like, it was just like Eminem. Eminem made a conscious choice saying, I know that there is this high likelihood that if I go out there, she'll be coronated as homecoming queen, but they won't be focusing on her. That 1,000-watt, beautiful, brilliant smile that Haley has will not be seen because people will see her rich, famous dad who has lived so much of his life in controversy, who has overcome so much, but still that's what they're going to see. They're not going to see what I want them to see, and what I want them to see is what I see. It's her amazingness. You were in that energy. It was, you wanted to see, you wanted to know, you wanted to understand. And it wasn't because you wanted other people to see you and recognize you and any of that. It was because you knew that if you went on that journey, it was going to illuminate more for other people. This is what I think of as someone who is walking a spiritual path because they have children. A big portion of what I did after that, cornered energy had to do with me wanting to better myself and heal myself so that I could be a better mom for my kids, a better wife for my husband, but so my kids could learn through my example. I didn't want praise and I didn't want glory, and I don't want praise or glory. I want this world to be a better place. And so that's what I set out to do. And in that way, pile 3, that's something I resonate with within your own energy. It's, you wanted something more. And looking forward, we can be in this place in our life where we're looking forward and we're like, okay, well, this is where I'm at. What do I really want? What do I want? I want something different. I want something new. I want to birth something into this world from me, however that is. Maybe some of you were ready to become parents, and so you knew, I need to do something within this realm, whether it's healing, whether it was learning to love yourself, whether it was seeing the world through the lens of love, whatever it was, it opened you up to a greater realm. But every single step into that realm was your conscious decision. Every new beginning you've had has been a conscious decision that you have made, rather than a byproduct of the situations that you found yourself in. So consciousness as a destined path, or consciousness being your destined path, means that you have made a conscious choice. And now I'm getting that think again, pile 3. Like, look at it again. Look at it with the eyes that you have right now. Look again. Did you make that choice? The amount of humility that I am feeling in the energy is telling me that you could quite easily be like, no, that was because of this. That was because of this. But we can say things are because of something, but those things are outside of ourselves. What was a conscious decision you made within yourself? Did you make the conscious decision to respond, or did you make the conscious decision to react? Because I'm getting that this is a response energy. You said, okay, this is what's going on. This is what's going on outside of myself. This is what has occurred in my life. I'm going to respond in this way. And it does not feel taught. It does not feel like this is what you were taught as a child. This feels like a conscious decision as an adult to be a different version of yourself. Not a different person, but a more elevated energy of yourself. There is such regality in this energy. I am so, you're the people that everybody talks about doing everything in the background that genuinely don't mind being in the background. That's why for Leo energy to be here, it's so anathema, because Leo energy wants to be in the spotlight, but you're like, no, I don't need that. What I want is a spotlight on this. So I'm going to turn the spotlight on that. And how do I turn the spotlight on that? I turn upon that because I know that I am the spotlight. This is incredible, pile 3. I want to see how you guys are ascending in spirit. So let's take a look at your tarot cards here. Yeah, the world. This is literally what it looks like. This is the energy that I feel from you guys. And we have the 3 of Cups and the 2 of Cups. Again, I got this in another pile, but I'm getting this in your pile as well. With the 3 and the 2 of Cups, normally those are cards that are correlated with outside of ourselves. The 3 of Cups is a celebration. It's coming together with a community, with friends, with like-minded souls. The 2 of Cups is this soulmate energy. But what I'm getting here is you decided that you wanted to come together with yourself. It was like you wanted a community of yourself. What I'm seeing is a person who's sitting in a room, and they're sitting in a room and they have their eyes closed. So it's a lot like this world card, but you're sitting instead. And you have your hands out and your eyes are closed, and you can feel the different versions of yourself. Feel your younger self, feel your teenage self, feel the version of you that you were 5 minutes ago. And you can tell that you're different now than you were then, than you were before, than you were in this version. And what you're doing is it's like you're sitting with all of those pieces of you. And that's your community. It's pieces of yourself that you're sitting and creating this community of wholeness, of togetherness within, so that you can realize that in order to paint the life that you desire, in order to have that new beginning that the Berkana rune talks about, that new birth and new beginning energy, you're realizing that all of it means that you have to look at every new beginning you've ever had, and then you have to see that you have been your own best friend. You've been your own sister, your own brother, your own mother, your own father, your own soulmate, your own lover, your own everything. Because in doing so, now you're making that conscious decision to come into a state of wholeness within yourself, to step into a state of trusting yourself completely, and then really to just creating everything that you want to create. And you're doing this, and it's like it's happening in the blink of an eye, but for you, it's happening throughout lifetimes, not just one, but many. This is like ascended master in the physical form kind of energy. And this is the true nature of a reincarnated ascended master, pile 3. It's the ones who know, they feel, they understand, they're aware, and they make the conscious decision to maintain that awareness. But there is no desire to tell anyone. Because why does it matter? If we tell the outside world, then what we're doing is we're identifying ourselves in that form. But you're not that form. You are the form that you are right now, which is a different form than you were 5 minutes ago. It's a different form than you were 5 hours ago. It's a different form than you were 5 years ago. It's a different form than you were 5 lifetimes ago. But it doesn't change the fact that you are you now here where you are. And so to make that conscious step, each conscious step forward, you're saying, okay, I understand. This is what it is. I am what I am. But I don't need the labels. I don't need the identifiers. And I don't need the acknowledgement outside of myself. What I need is wholeness within. Wow. You're like the masters of this realm. And I'm so honored to have you guys here. Like, I don't have the words to explain to you, so I'm going to send it to you energetically for you to understand what an honor this really feels like for me to channel this energy, to channel this message. Excuse me for the little burp. I'm like, there's a lot of energy here, you guys. So I want to take a look at healing gifts right now, or gifts of healing. We have the waterfall. Yeah. Inner power, unbridled confidence, claiming your place. Oh my gosh, I just got spirit tingles all over my right side of my body. Birth mysteries. What are you being called to create? This is literally the birth and the new beginning, the creation rune. This is, I have tingles all over me right now, pile 3. And I know my camera is fuzzy, but I also don't feel like the cards matter at all because the energy that is here, and I just saw 2244. I don't know why I needed to mention it, but I'm going to do it anyway. The energy here, the healing that you have is where you're coming together. You're making that community of self, that wholeness of self, that union of self, because the confidence that you're working on building, the claiming your place, it has to do with you claiming you now, here, right now, right now. It's saying, yes, I resonate with this energy. Yes, I understand that this is part of my energy. Yes, I understand that I resonate with being an ascended master reincarnated. Yes, I understand that I'm walking through this life in a different energy, in a different awareness, in a different perspective, in a different mindset, in a different way of moving and interacting. I understand that. I understand that I can still interact like a normal person, but inside I am seeing things on a molecular level, on an energetic level. I am seeing the interplay of each tiny little piece of energy, smaller than an electron, smaller than a neutrino, smaller than anything than what we have a word for. I can see it all, and I can see how interconnected and interwoven everything in this life is. I understand that, but what I want to see is how interconnected and interwoven I am within myself, because I know that I am meant to create something different. But it's not an external creation right now. It's about internally creating that. And again, I got that energy of spiritual parenting. There's something here that is so profound that the words that I am speaking, are carrying a certain type of energy that are meant to interact with your energy to help you to find. It's like finding a thread, but it doesn't look like a thread. It actually looks like an eel, like an electric eel. It's like finding that tiny little piece, because there's something that was birthed when you were birthed for you to birth. Wow. Okay. I don't even, I feel like I'm going to start fangirling with you guys. Let's take a look at your growth from this soul here. Oh my God. Did I not say Scorpio earlier? Full moon in Scorpio. Breathe through the tension. What is going on? New moon in Capricorn. Step up and lead. The world card is Sagittarius. It is not Sagittarius energy. It is, however, Saturn energy, but you guys might have Sagittarius in your 10th house. That would make you a Pisces rising. Interesting. But this is about you going through exactly what you need to go through within yourself. It's like threading the needle within the self to finish weaving the patchwork of the self, to realize that each individual piece, each individual lifetime, each individual expression of the self has been nothing other than it is more and it is less. And it is equivalent simultaneously to pieces within a quilt of the self that exists within you. And so it's much like we look at creating a quilt We take scraps and pieces, and then we make them into a pattern, and that pattern gets woven together. And as each individual pattern gets woven into a greater pattern, and that greater pattern gets the batting and then the backing, we have something to wrap ourselves in the most desolate of times. We have that warmth, we have that creation that we have made from our fingers, from our envisioning of it being. And that is what you're doing. You're doing that because something else is ready. But first, you have to finish the quilt, because the quilt is what you shall be walking forth with. And the quilt is much like a robe or like a cloak. It is this awareness of being whole, but being none of the pieces. You are the whole. You are the quilt, but you are not the pattern. The pattern just is. Dude, oh my gosh, you guys. See here, and then I go getting all like slang on you guys, like, dude, I'm totally like floating in the ethers right now. But I feel like I'm floating in the ethers. When I look at this waterfall card, you have this figure and she's got her arms upright, and the waterfall is cascading down, but it's cascading down. And what it looks like it's cascading down onto is like, it looks like a church. But then I'm being brought to like Mayan ruins. And then from the Mayan ruins, I'm being brought to the stars. And from the stars, back to the earth, back to like the absolute just grit and dirt of the ground that we think of as nothing more or less than what we walk upon. But it is what we are. We are what we walk upon, and we walk upon ourselves. And when we realize that, then we realize that we are all one tapestry. And I'm getting like Notre Dame vibes, but also like Minsk and like Big Ben. Is that Big Ben is like I think that's the clock tower in London. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But then I get that, and I get this kind of like sanctuary within the self. And there is a sanctuary within accepting the tapestry. It's accepting that you are not the pattern, but you are the whole. You are all of what makes you you, and all of what made you you in every other version of yourself, but you contain all of it within yourself. It's like you are within this circle. You are the flower of life. You are the dodecahedron. You are the electric eel and the thread of life. You're all of that. And so because of that, it's understanding that you have to have tension in that moment in order to weave the quilt of the life that you are creating, which is just your life. Wow. Okay. Pile 3. Sorry about the noise. This is the message I have for you. Willow's going to bark. I do want to take this time to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you to your guides, my guides, the Great Spirit. Willow, come here. Thank you so much for this energy. This has been incredible. It has been an honor. It has been inspiring. Give me one moment. If this resonated and you guys would like to support my channel, support me and my creative endeavors, I would truly appreciate that. Totally not necessary, definitely not expected, always deeply, deeply felt and appreciated. Some of the ways that you can do that are by liking this video, commenting in the comment section below. You can subscribe to my channel. There are also links in my description box. If you go and check those out, there are links to do direct donations. You can do that through PayPal and Venmo. There are also a link in there. Okay. Now I can't speak. There's a link in there to my Amazon author page. From that Amazon author page, you can see all of my published books. There are 9 of them. They are available in a variety of different formats, from hardcover to paperback, Kindle, Kindle Unlimited. All of those are accessible from that link as well. Pile 3. You guys have changed me in ways that I very likely will not learn fully for quite a while, but I want to say thank you from my heart and my soul for it. It is energy like this and readings like this and awarenesses like this that there are people out there in the world like you that give me more hope than ever before. So thank you. I hope you have a beautiful day, night, evening, morning, whenever you're watching this. I hope that it is filled with awareness and healing. And I hope that you genuinely can feel how honored I am to have you here. I love you guys so much. I will see you at my next reading. Bye. Hello, pile 4. If you chose the 4th card, the card number 3, with sensitivity and strength, tapping the forces within, as well as the Perth rune, and more specifically, Perth reversed, this is your message about how you are ascending in spirit. So I got the 3rd house, and then I got a variety of different energies here. They don't have to be your placements for this to be your reading. They could be, but this is just energy that is dominant here. So with the 3rd house, I got Venus in Gemini, Venus in the 3rd house. I also got Libra in the 3rd house and Taurus in the 3rd house, and either a Leo or a Pisces rising. Those are just the energies that are here. And then I got like this bombardment of different symbols and signs. So anchors and waves in the ocean. And then I got boats, and then I got monkeys, orange signs or signposts, then arrows and hands pointing on a path. And I got this green spongy moth on the ground beneath the feet. But that imagery, it came in very tactilely, but it felt very dreamlike. The message that I got for your beginning energy is: life is like a summer camp's high ropes course. You must first climb to a height, secure yourself with a carabiner clip, and trust the ones on the sideline guiding you over and through the many obstacles. Your focus is being summoned now to be upon your intuition, not your surroundings. Sometimes we forget the only monkeys truly in our circus are ourselves, not a single other soul. As a mother, this is a really hard message for me to hear and to channel for you guys. But I do understand that I can set the example of behaviors, beliefs, love, etc. for my kids, yet the actions taken by anyone and everyone outside of myself, including my children, they're not in my control, nor are they truly my responsibility. We each are meant to carry the responsibility of ourselves, our own actions, our own motivations. Sometimes it is called, or we are called, to listen to our inner voice, to bring about a new awareness within ourselves. One very intense message that was shared with me from within this pile's energy was that your greatest strength is the power of your resilient heart. What this means to you, pile 4, is written within. Thus, now is the time to write the secrets of your heart upon the page of conscious awareness. The Perth rune, in terms of this reading, when it is upright instead of reversed, or it's forward, it talks about secret matters, but it also talks about an initiation. And I don't know about you guys, pile four, but sometimes when you go down this journey, this spiritual path, or even just a journey to yourself, your healing, your awareness, hearing initiation can sound like the worst word in the world. But with it reversed, this is about the things that we hold within coming to light, coming to the surface. Talking about your sensitivity and your strength, and especially with the third house being a prominent energy here, it's about the ways that we communicate with ourselves. This card talks about tapping the forces within yourself, but it has a feather and it has a weight. And I think about Ma'at and how Ma'at is said to weigh our hearts against a feather. Those who are pure of heart, their hearts are as light as a feather. For your conscience, your soul is light as a feather. And we carry these things within ourselves, these pieces of awareness within ourselves, where we're asked to come to terms with the things that we do only. The message of the monkeys within your circus being only you, your actions, your reactions, your thoughts, your projections, your everything, and nothing being from outside of yourself. It's not meant to be like, shit, now I can do whatever I want. No, it's meant for you to realize that you're carrying the weight of others around with you. That weight is not a part of what gets measured against the feather. It's only a weight that gets measured upon your head, your mind. And the mind can play many tricks with us. And that is why I got that dreamlike feeling, because we can get caught up in the dream and the illusion of us being responsible for so many people. And I am speaking as a parent. I know definitively as a parent, saying that I am not responsible for my children is one of the hardest things for me to have had to come to terms with on my journey. When my oldest daughter became an adult and she moved out, and I didn't have a play by play of her everyday life, man, the worry and the anxiety that overwhelms with that stuff is insanely high, because you want to make sure your kids are okay. You want to make sure they're loved and they're taken care of and they're protected. And you want to make sure that they know their own strength and they know their own resilience, and they know that they don't have to make mistakes in certain ways. They don't have to follow the path of popular culture or what have you. But I had to come to terms with the fact that to continue to take on the choices that she made as though they were my own choices was putting weight upon my heart and my energy and my mind that was unfairly done by myself to myself. Part of the spiritual journey is coming to this awareness of what it means to have attachments, what it means to have expectations, what it means to love another person, another soul, whether that is family, friend, lover. I will never be one that says like attachments don't exist and aren't right. I just won't, because I love so deeply. That's just who I am. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you can't be attached to something. I am going to tell you that your guides want you to realize that your attachment to other people's choices as though they were your own, because they're someone who falls under your guidance in whatever way that occurs. It's not your fault. You're not at fault for someone else's actions, especially if those actions are misguided and hurtful to you or to others or to themselves. It's not your fault. When we get into that energy, we get into the energy of trying to rescue others all the time. Perth being reversed here is helping you understand the ways that you have taken on weight and energy, shame, blame, guilt, all of those quote unquote dirty little words that are part of the human condition, they're not dirty little words. I'm saying that very lightly, but you've taken these things on. And it's time to see that the reason why you so willingly do that, so automatically do that, is because you are such a loving soul. One of the hardest things for me to realize in my life was how I allowed someone else's projections upon me to determine my worth, my value, my ability, my capability. And it played out in so many different ways in life. It played out in romantic relationships. It played out in my family connections. It played out with friends. It played out with colleagues in so many different ways. And this past spring in May, when I finally opened my eyes and I was like, I am back in the same damn cycle and I don't want to be in this same cycle anymore, where I was letting someone else determine whether I was worthy or not of something because I was working under them. They had a higher title than me, and I was back in that cycle of being afraid of losing something because someone else determined whether or not I was worthy of it. And they were using that fear to bully me, to harass me, to push me around. And I said, no more. Like, this is not good for my mental health. This is not good for my physical health. It is not good for my family. It is not good for my life. When I walked away from that situation, so much of my inner world crumbled down to the point that this past summer, that was one major moment that catapulted me into a deep, dark depression, a deep, 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 dark moment, time frame of the dark night of the soul, a darker night than I have ever experienced before in my life. One in which I am just starting to get out of. And I'm starting to get out of it because I had to come to the realization that I did not have control over that, but I did not have to be subject to it either. That is what it means to tap into the forces that you contain within yourself, pile four. It's in saying, I am worthy of more because I value myself enough. And then you start saying exactly what the truth is for yourself. And when we step into our power for the first time, when we are speaking the truth of our hearts, of our souls, of our purpose, of our path, of our empowerment, when we're speaking the truth of our worth and our value, we first must tear down the illusions that we have created for ourselves. And a big part of that means tearing down the illusion that we are subject to blame or shame or guilt over someone else's actions. Why? Because we didn't stand up for ourselves, or we didn't speak the truth, or whatever. It doesn't matter. What happened, happened. And that's a hard pill to swallow. What happened, happened. But it does not mean that you cannot move forward in a new light, in a new energy. So to go through a new initiation means to allow for that tumble down to happen. That means that it's time for you to see that the things that make you so sensitive, the things that make you feel as though you're not at fault or at blame, what's the word I'm looking for? Responsible for or to within other people, is because you are meant to lead in your life. And when we think about ourselves in a leadership position, man, the mind can play a lot of tricks in that sense. The mind will have us feeling this weight. The heart will have us feeling the feather. So ask yourself what leadership means to you and whether it makes you feel light like a feather or heavy like a weight. That's your very first step. So let's find out the ways that you are rising or ascending in spirit. We have the Knight of Pentacles, the King of Cups. Ooh, I love this. And the Eight of Cups. You know how sometimes I do a channeled message and then I flip the cards and I'm like, that's exactly what I just said. That's exactly what I just said. This journey is not a long one. It's not a short one. It is as long as it's meant to be. It takes however long it takes. But when we go slow, what we realize is we've planted these seeds within other people, within our lives. We've planted these seeds. This is my Johnny Appleseed card. And Johnny Appleseed, the story of Johnny Appleseed is how, he went through the countryside and he just kind of spread the apple seeds wherever, and where he spread the apple seeds is where apple trees grew. And, whether that's true or not, that's not the point. The point here is that you have sown seeds that have grown to full blossom that are ready to harvest. Seeds within your heart, seeds within your soul, seeds within your mind. But we're still sitting there feeling as though we have the weight of all these seeds. We have all these seeds, but our satchel is actually empty because you've scattered them already. So the Knight of Pentacles is seen as one of the slowest moving energies because when you think about an apple tree growing, that seed has to take root. Those roots have to go down before it can grow up. And then when it grows up, it needs years of time and energy to grow until it flowers, until the leaves come out, and until the apples actually start being produced by the tree. This is a lot like your emotional awareness. It takes time. It takes diligence. It takes a willingness to keep going. This is about you realizing that some of the things that you are holding on to are really meant for you to just scatter the seeds and let them grow on their own. As a parent, this is a correlative metaphor in parenting. We scatter the seeds of the awarenesses that we have within, the love that we have to share, the lessons that we have learned in life, the ways in which we have empowered ourselves. We scatter the seeds of awareness for our children. But it is not for us to perpetually focus on the seeds that we have planted within them. They have to nurture and love and grow those seeds, because those seeds will, in time, bear fruit. And that fruit is going to be wisdom. It's going to be awareness. It's going to be strength. It's going to be sensitivity. It's going to be a force to be reckoned with. But those things are outside of our control. And so to keep our minds and our hearts clear and light as a feather, we have to be willing to walk away from this mentality that we are responsible for everything and everyone outside of ourselves. Coming back to center, coming back to ourselves, and gaining that emotional awareness that this is not good for me. This is not healthy for me. I need to walk away from that. And we don't always have to go through a journey of like, let's burn it to the ground like this Eight of Cups card is, because this Eight of Cups card for me is literally I'm just going to burn the bridges and walk away. Sometimes it's about saying, I have stacked these cups. I have planted these seeds. I have come to this awareness, and I have grown in myself enough to value myself to say, I've done my duty. I've done my due diligence. I have owned my responsibility. And this is how I lead in my life. I lead by showing you that you can walk away from certain things that are not good for you, that are not healthy for you, that you do not have to engage in these things. I have learned, grown, taught, and I am worthy now of the relief of not having to carry the burdens of others, the relief of not having to tell myself that it is for me to fix these things, to this or that. And when you are a parent, or when you are a boss, or when you own your own business, having to come to the awareness and the acceptance that to truly lead, to truly stand in your own power, it means that you're not responsible for instance, as a boss, you're not responsible for your employees' actions and reactions. You are responsible for teaching them how they should interact with whatever realm of work they're doing. They're responsible for what they do from there. This is why in the realm of work, we go through training for any position. This is why we go through school to learn, and then college, and then we go into the working world. or we go and we start working and we work our way up because we learn. We have to learn and grow. But it is not for us to do it all for other people or to take on the responsibility of other people. It's for us to stand in our sovereign energy, our sovereign authority, and say, I have communicated fully what I know within myself, the power, the strength, the sensitivity, and my heart is light. My heart is free. If my heart is light and free, then so too shall be my mind. And if my mind is then light and free, then walking away from the things that are not healthy for me, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, is what I'm willing to do. And sometimes those moments of walking away, sometimes that Eight of Cups really does launch us directly into a dark night of the soul. But that particular one, especially the one that I use as an example, the one that I just recently started coming out of, that particular one was exactly what I needed to come into the energy that I'm in now. It was exactly what I needed to start realizing that I have the ability to build a life that I desire with the people that I desire to have within my life by vocalizing what it is that I have learned, grown, what it is that I need as equality, and understanding that it is not for me to force someone else to act in that way. It is for them to realize that if they want to be equals in my life, then they will respond. And the same too goes for me. If they vocalize, this is what I need for equality, it is for me to meet them at the table. To walk away from all of that negative ideology that we are responsible for everyone else, because the weight and the burden that that puts upon our shoulders, it's like carrying the weight of the world. And I'm sorry, but none of us are Atlas. That is not our burden to bear. So let's see what healing you guys are coming into. We have water codes, ancient wisdom, the intelligence is within you. Ooh, I love this. Ooh, water codes. I've never really thought about that. And metamorphosis, embracing transformation. Things are now different. And it can be that quick. It can be that fast. Colleen was spiritualistic. She posts light codes when they come to her, when she's called to do that she does that on her Instagram quite often. And those codes that she channels, they are life-changing. So many times. She has impacted me in so many ways. For water codes to come through for you, and I haven't read the book, but what I'm getting from this is it's like on my altar space, I have 2 cups. One of the cups is a water cup. I always want to keep a form of water on there. And normally I use ocean water. And just recently I was drawn to using river water, but I was actually called to not changing the ocean water and combining the ocean and the river water. And in doing that, it changed the energy of both the ocean water and the river water, and the energy upon my altar, and the energy within my sacred space, and the energy within my sacred self. This awareness woke up within me. This creative expression woke up within me, this different way. Whether it's something as tangible as that, or if it's just you doing something like water scrying or water gazing, taking a shower and allowing an awareness to arise within you, allowing the water to cleanse out that weight, that it's almost like a grime, or just like, it's like somebody dumped mud on your head and you're covered in mud, and you've been walking through your life covered in mud. And now all of a sudden there is a shower in front of you. And you walk into the shower, and now you have to look at yourself. Now you have to realize, oh my gosh, look how beautiful, how handsome, how captivating I truly am. I've been walking around carrying this sludge, holding on to all of this, but none of that was mine to carry because someone else dumped it upon my shoulders. Now I understand that what it is for me to carry is what was underneath it, what was within it. And within that is your divinity. Within that is your you. It's you. And so It can be that quick where we go through a metamorphosis, we go through an initiation where it's literally you walk into the shower, you get out of the shower, you're different. Things are different. Your life is different. It happens that fast. It happens as fast as saying, no, this is not right for me and I'm walking away. It can happen that quickly. And you've been going down this path of scattering the seeds and then coming back and making sure they planted, making sure that they're growing, making sure that they are going to come to fruition, but they're not for you to bring to fruition. And so you keep going back and you keep getting more and more covered in the mud because it's not yours to bring to fruition. And so now you're able to look back and you're like, oh, holy crap, look at that. Look at that apple grove that I created. I literally have food for the next 20, 30 years of my life. If I have that handled, if I have that taken care of, and all I've done is accept myself and my worth and my value and what I have to offer and what I have planted and everything that I have done, now I can walk away and move forward and see what else can I do. So you can go through this really slow progress, and then all of a sudden, like a blink of an eye, everything is different. You are different. Your life is different. That is how you are rising right now. That is how you are healing right now, by literally having a blink of an eye. And that happened to me recently where I went to bed one night and I was still in my depressive slump. And then I woke up and I was like, oh my gosh, there's light, there's sun, I'm alive. Life is good. And you just have that realization. You have that intelligence awakening within you that it's okay. You are okay. You are more than what has been dumped upon you or what you have been carrying unfairly and for so long. And that has grown your strength and your resilience. It truly has grown you so much. Let's see the growth of your soul. Oh my God, I did get Libra. Last quarter moon in Libra, make time for self-love. And new moon in Virgo, trust that all will be well. I really feel like these two things go hand in hand. When you are stepping into the growth of your soul, when you're embracing growing in a new way and allowing yourself to be different, so allowing your life to be different, you're taking that time out to care for yourself. With this self-love, I'm getting really strongly just step into the shower. Step into the shower and you let that awareness wash over you. You let that cleansing wash over you. Let the water codes awaken within you. You let this wisdom just start percolating within your body, within your mind, within your heart, within your soul. And now you're able to see, holy crap, look how strong I am. Look how loving and sensitive and true and emotional I am. And look at how being this way has grown my strength, my resilience, my ability, and my resolve to do what is right for me. This is how I'm stepping into my power. This is how I'm leading my life. And this is how I am leading others in their life. Because I know that the divine has always had my back, has always walked beside me, and has been waiting with that water in that shower to wash it away. I didn't have to do anything. I just had to accept it. I had to stop and make time to love myself instead of trying to care for everything and everyone else outside of myself. I chose to love myself. I chose to hear myself, and I chose to trust that everything outside of myself was going to be okay, no matter what happens, no matter what it might look like at any given point in time, because I planted the right seeds. I nurtured the right things, and I grew that growth. Out of my blood, sweat, and tears, I did that. And now I get to love myself. Now I get to know definitively that I will have everything that is meant for me because I have done the work, because I have endured, I have survived, I have persevered, and now I am choosing to allow my heart to be as light as a feather. Pile 4. This is your message about how you are rising and ascending in spirit, your gifts, your growth, your healing. This has been amazing, empowering for me to give to you, but also I truly hope it's empowering for you. I want to take this time to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you to your guides. Thank you to my guides. Thank you to the Great Spirit. Thank you to Ma'at. Thank you to the sun and the moon and the stars and the planets and all of the energies all around us, the spiritual energies, those souls helping to guide us into light and love so that we can trust our intuition, trust our guidance, navigate through the obstacles, and live a life with our hearts as light as a feather. Thank you so much. Thank you for pile 4 being in this world and continuing to move forward. Thank you. Pile 4, if this resonated and you would like to support my channel, I would truly appreciate that. Some of the ways that you can do that are by liking this video. You can subscribe to my channel. You can comment in the comment section below, share this video out. You can also go to the description box and there are links to donate to my channel. Those links are for PayPal and Venmo, either or. You guys can absolutely do that. Another way that you can support my channel and my creative endeavors and just kind of everything that I do here in the collective is by going to the link within the description box for my Amazon author page and buying or checking out using Kindle Unlimited, one of my 9 books. They are available in hardcover, paperback, Kindle, Kindle Unlimited. All of them are accessible from that Amazon author page. Any and all of these are great ways to support my channel. None of them are expected. None of them are required. They just really help me out. Pile 4, I love you guys so much. And I truly hope this helped. I hope you have a beautiful day. And I love you guys so much. I am going to leave you here. And I will see you at my next reading.